Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to The Walk. Today is Wednesday, November 13th, and today we are talking more about this sword song. And this is another part where the Lord is bringing more words to Ezekiel. And this is what it says in verse 18. Ezekiel 21:18. The word of the Lord came to me again. As for you, son of man, mark 2 ways for the sword of the king of Babylon to come. Both of them shall come from the same land. And make a signpost, make it at the head of the way to a city. Mark a way for the sword to come to Rabbah of the Ammonites, and to Judah, into Jerusalem the fortified. For the king of Babylon stands at the parting of the way, at the head of the 2 ways to use divination. He shakes arrows, he consults the teraphim, he looks at the liver. There was a lot of things in here that confused me. Of course, these names confused me. But as I started to dig into it, the focus is on the king of Babylon and the fact that he is using divination, he's shaking arrows, he consults the teraphim, and he looks at the liver. What on earth does that mean? Well, in the Fire Study Bible, there was an interesting explanation which said, Spiritists, which are people who attempt to communicate or connect with the dead, believed that they could tell the future by examining the livers of dead animals. Ezekiel insists, however, that God controlled and overruled King Nebuchadnezzar's ungodly practices in order to accomplish his plans. So basically what's being said here is that King Nebuchadnezzar's plans, ungodly rituals, they are not going to reveal to the people what will happen. Only the Lord can do that. And any chance that it showed anything is just Satan manipulating those people. Now, in the Cultural Study Bible, there was a lot more information, and this is what it said. According to verse 20, Nebuchadnezzar hesitated at Damascus, wondering whether to attack Rabbah of the Ammonites or Jerusalem in Judah. As was customary in ancient Near Eastern war campaigns, he resolved the issue by using divinatory techniques to determine which route to take. Okay, so he's kind of at a crossroad, and Nebuchadnezzar is deciding, should I go to the Ammonites, Rabbah of the Ammonites, or should I go to Jerusalem, which is in Judah? And he's pause where this crossroads is at Damascus. So then what does he do to try and figure out? Well, the Cultural Study Bible explains that. In verse 21, he applies 3 methods of divination. He shakes the arrows. Now, this was a practice known as belomancy or rhodomancy, which consists of tossing inscribed arrows and drawing one as one would draw a lot, on the assumption that the selected arrow shows the advice of the gods. So it's kind of like the idea of pulling a stick out of a cup, like the tongue depressor. You know, teachers put all the students' names in a cup and they pull one stick, and that's the student they're going to call on. Well, in this case, these arrows are in the quiver and they've got something written on them that says which way to go. He pulls one out, and if it happens to be the one that says Jerusalem of Judah, he goes that way. If it happens to be the one that's going to Rabbah, the Ammonites, then he's going to go that way. Verse 2, he consults his idols, here called the teraphim. They are associated with the protecting and counseling spirits of the ancestors to whom one turns for advice when faced with a difficult decision. So basically, he's asking people who've died what to do. Verse 3, the third thing he's doing, he's examining the livers of a sacrificed animal, a common form of Mesopotamian divination called hepatoscopy. Clay models of livers have been found at a great many archaeological sites in the Near East, confirming their widespread use in antiquity. One found in Babylon is mapped into more than 50 sections and punctuated by special interpretative marks. All right, so let's go back to what this says. There's 2 ways There's two ways being marked by the sword of the king of this Babylon, And both of them come from the same land. And basically, he's trying to figure out which way to go. Verse 22. Into his right hand comes the divination for Jerusalem, to set battering rams, to open the mouth with murder, to lift up the voice with shouting, to set battering rams against the gates, to cast up mounds, and to build siege towers. But to them it will seem like a false divination. They have sworn solemn oaths, but he brings their guilt to remembrance, that they may be taken. So basically what's happening here is the king of Babylon is going to be sent into Jerusalem. That divination is going to be taken over by God so that he chooses to go to Jerusalem. And then what's going to happen? Well, I see a list. He's going to set battering rams. He's going to open the mouth with murder. He's going to lift up the voice with shouting. He's going to set battering rams against the gates. He's going to cast up mounds. He's going to build siege towers. That's the number 6. That's the number for man. This is man coming against man, but God is using it to point out to these people in Jerusalem that they are wrong. And then it says in verse 23, to those people in Jerusalem, it will seem like a false divination. They have sworn solemn oaths, but he brings their guilt to remembrance. They are going to remember what they've done that was against what God told them to do. They have forsaken their first love and turned their back on it. And we need to remember to keep that first love first. Have a wonderful day. God bless, and keep walking the walk.